We didn't grab up from here.
John. Yeah.
Good afternoon, everybody. We're just gonna wait another minute in case there's any stragglers and then we'll get started.
Let me see what's fun.
Yes.
Yeah. Yeah, you got it. Nice.
All right, it's 2 minutes after, so we'll get started. So, like most budget consultation meetings, we'll start with a brief presentation, just highlighting some of the main points around our budget and around some of the feedback that we've received so far. And then, of course, after the slideshow, there will be an open session for you to ask questions and make comments, provide feedback. Next slide, please. So to start off, I just want to talk about the scope of the meeting. So we're here to answer questions and seek your opinions regarding our 2025 municipal budgets, both operating and capital. Open portion of the meeting, like I already said, and department managers are here to listen to your feedback. For the most part, there's been a lot of consultation between departments and the Treasury Department and CIO's office around the details of the budget. So for the most part, I will be answering the questions, but if there's anything specific that relates to the budget that I can answer, I'll pass it on to managers. But for the most part, they're here to hear your feedback and take it back to their departments. Next slide, please. So I want to talk a little bit about expectations and our respectful behavior policy. So this meeting is being live streamed on the township's YouTube channel, and the meeting recording will be published for future viewing as well. I'd like to ask everybody to keep in mind that the people at this table work to provide municipal services for you. We are not the policy makers, we are the administrators that carry out the policies. And we are doing our very best to deliver municipal services per council's directions for you. So please consider the people you're speaking to when you are providing feedback, asking questions, and engaging with us. The township's respectful behavior policy governs acceptable behavior in interaction between township staff and the public. And as such, we will be using that policy, and the expectation is that behavior will be respectful. Unacceptable behavior, we will give one warning if there's any unacceptable behavior, and following a warning, anybody that continues with unacceptable behavior will be asked to leave. Next slide, please. So just some examples of unacceptable behavior. Having an opinion isn't unacceptable behavior. Please do provide us your opinions, but please don't use hostile, abusive, or offensive language. Don't shout. Don't make false or baseless statements. Questions are okay, but please don't make false or baseless statements. Please don't interrupt the person speaking, and that goes both ways. Commentary or lines of questioning that seek primarily to embarrass, annoy, or create a gotcha moment. There was a little bit of an instance at our last consultation meeting where there was some needling and interrupting, and answer the question as yes or no when it wasn't a yes or no question. So that type of line of questioning is not respectful behavior, not tolerated. And of course, targeting individuals and individual staff. Next one, please. Oh, and one more thing, we do ask that if you do want to provide comments, please come up to the table. You can stand, you can sit, and please introduce yourself. And then make your commentary. So I want to talk about the municipal tax rate environment. We've received quite a bit of feedback already through the survey. The survey has been active now for about a week. And we, of course, are seeing some patterns in the feedback that we're receiving. And then also generally, conversations that we have at the office, feedback that we see on social media. There is a perception that our tax rate is very high. Now, our tax rate is higher than most municipalities in Ontario, maybe even all of them. And that's because of our very low impact assessment values. Our impact assessment value average for residential property in Manitowoc is $41,100. That's an extremely low home value. As we all probably know, home values have increased quite a bit in Manitowoc over the last 5 years or so. And those values aren't necessarily reflective of market values, but Manitowoc's impact assessment values are very, very low compared to other communities. So that results in a higher percentage tax rate for us to collect the same amount of revenue as a similar community with higher assessment values. So while of course it is a talking point that the tax rate is high, looking at the big picture is very important when it comes to taxation. The average tax bill in Manitowoc is well within the normal range in Ontario. That's something that's a point that I would stand by. We will, in this presentation, look at assessed values and some average tax bills. And it is well within normal range. I mean, of course, there's a wide range across Ontario. And it's not even so simple as a comment I hear often is, well, it's a small town and our taxes are high for a small town. Well, the size of a community isn't necessarily a predictor of whether your tax rate is going to be high or low. We set the budget every year based on the level of service that we provide. We look at what we need to provide the level of service that we seek to offer, and that's what we tax based on. So at the end of the day, discussions about reductions in taxes go hand in hand with discussions about reductions in service levels. So just keep in mind that we are doing the best that we can with the resources that we have, and nobody likes higher taxes, but this is to fund the current levels of service. I think I covered it. Every municipality is different. We're unique in that we're remote and we do offer a full complement of municipal services. There are many communities that don't offer water and sewer service, that don't offer garbage collection, that don't have recreation facilities and services. From my perspective, Manitowoc offers a very wide and lots of breadth and depth as far as the services and programs that we offer, and all of those things need to be taken into consideration when looking at a municipal budget. Next slide, please. So we're looking at about a 4% tax rate increase here in Manitowoc, and similar communities, and some of the communities on this list are similar, some of the communities are not so similar. You've got some cities on the list, you've got some towns on the list, but this 3, 4, 5% tax increase range is the prevailing standard increase at this point in time across the province. These articles, they all say the same thing, that all municipalities are raising their rates. Cost of goods and services has increased for us. Every year it costs us more to provide the same that we provided the last year. So this is just a point to say that the tax rate environment in Ontario is pretty consistent as far as year-over-year modest increases. Next slide, please. And I'll note that at the end of the presentation, when we get to the open discussion portion, we're very happy to go back and discuss these slides and these figures. So, as I said earlier, Manitowoc has an average residential taxable property value of $41,100. So that would make the average annual residential property tax, including education tax, at just over $3,000. So when we're looking at tax bills in different municipalities in the province, again, I've said this already, there is a very wide range. Some municipalities have average residential taxes over $10,000. It is difficult to prepare a thorough and accurate analysis of average tax bills. Particularly in our region, there is a lot of information available online, easily accessible, I should say, for larger centers. But to get into the nitty-gritty, so to speak, of what an average property is valued at and what an average tax bill is, it does require a significant amount of legwork, often direct communication with municipalities in question. At this time, this is what we have so far as average tax bill information But to do comparisons, good comparisons with local municipalities is resource intensive. But we will talk a little bit more about some of the data that we have to offer. Next slide, please. So this is an illustration of Manitowoc's assessment values. So this is essentially the range of residential property assessment values. This is about, I want to say 97% of the properties in Manitowoc fall around this $20,000 to $70,000 assessed value range. So the 20,000 is very low end, as far as this range goes. There's maybe about 5% of properties that are 20,000 or less. But the 30,000 and up is, this represents about 95%. So if you're looking at a $30,000 property, your 2025 total tax increase is going to be $81.46. Go up to the $40,000 range, that's middling, it's right near that $41,000 average. You're looking at a tax increase of $108 for a year. And of course, it goes up as your assessment goes up. Again, we can come back to this slide later if we'd like to look at it more closely. Next slide, please. This is the distribution. So your $0 to $20,000 value homes are 5% of the properties in Manitowoc. 20% are 20,000 to 30,000. 26% are in that middle area. Between $30,000 and $50,000, you're looking at about 50% of the properties in Manitowoc are between $30,000 and $50,000. A couple of figures over here. 51% of properties will see a tax increase of $108 or less. 75% are looking at a $135 increase or less. And then 91% are going to be a tax increase of $162 or less. Next slide, please. So I touched on this a little bit, but goods and services are more expensive in Manitowoc. Whether we're talking about shipping costs for goods, contractor mobilization, travel costs, and just the bids that we receive for major projects. Delivering services is just more expensive here. We're quite remote, and I think we are all well aware of that. Manitowoc enjoys a number of assets that were contributed in the past by benefactors, and this is from a time where Manitowoc's population was higher, and we still have those assets. These are still areas of service that are identified as a priority by council, and maintaining these assets and these services have associated costs. So we are contending with a little bit of change in circumstances in Manitowoc over the years. We used to be a more booming mining town. Its population was lower, and the benefactors that contributed some of our major assets, everything that was associated with that is, there's less of that now, and we do still have to maintain these assets, so that's a portion of our costs. We also, not everybody's necessarily aware, but we raise taxation to fund external service providers that fall under municipal areas of responsibility. So OPP, MPAC, ambulance services, social services, public health, those entities are funded by your taxes to the tune of $472 in the $472,000 in the 2025 budget, which represents about 16.4% of property tax. So a good chunk of the property tax that we levy is parceled off and funded to other organizations. So that's another thing to keep in mind, that not all of the dollars that we're working with and taxing for are necessarily under our direct control. Next slide, please. So similar to the last meeting, just running through the list of different responsibilities and services that the municipality offers. So we provide curbside garbage and recycling collection and local landfill services. We maintain roadways, including snow removal. We have full municipal water and sewer hookup. Comprehensive airport services, which allow for critical medical and emergency readiness. Fire department services, including both public education and emergency response. Next slide, please. Bylaw enforcement, policing services through OPP funding, public health and social services funding, library services through funding to Manitowoc Public Library Board, recreation facility services, including our hockey rink, our community auditorium, our curling rink, our fitness center space, as well as community events programming. Next slide. Parks, beach, boat launch, and trails upkeep are all under the scope of the township. Manitowoc Municipal Golf Course and Kiwis Ski Hill are two recreation functions also provided by the township. Slide, please. Recreation and community services. So again, as I mentioned earlier, we have received feedback, and of course, this is an area that we've heard it before, where there's sometimes criticism of the resource allocation for recreation and community services. The township's position is that these are an important township function and priority, and what I would respond to some of the criticism of these areas with is, as a property owner, I would like you to consider the impact to your own property value and Manitowoc's property values as a whole if Manitowoc did not offer recreation facilities and programs. So while there may be a tax impact of not offering these facilities and programs, the recreation facilities and programs we offer is often a draw for people looking to move to Manitowoc, whether it's professionals with families or any number of individuals that are looking at what the community has to offer. These things are considered valuable, and it's just something to think about. Should there be a loss of these facilities and programs, what will the impact to your property value be? And consider the taxation impact if the demand for property declines in Manitowoc because recreation facilities and services are not offered. What might that look like? Because if there's a mass exodus as far as demand and people in Manitowoc, that will create a whole new tax burden. Privatization is another area that's commonly suggested. However, privatization in most cases just isn't viable here because, again, these are operated as services to the community. They're not profit-driven enterprises. So yes, there is a funding piece and they're subsidized by tax dollars, but that's the model, and moving to a private model in many cases isn't viable just by nature of the population and the amount of revenue that would be available to a private operator. Next slide, please. So we're nearing the end. This is the summary pie charts of what our expenses and our revenues look like. So again, we can go back and take a closer look at these as we discuss. But it's similar to last year's presentation. There haven't been any tremendous changes. I'll leave you to look at the revenue slide for a moment, and then we'll flip to the expenses slide. And then, like I said, we'll open up the discussion and we can come back to these slides after and like to look at them more closely or ask questions. We can flip to the next one. Good with small margins. So I think we can flip to the last slide and then get started with the open discussion. So again, just reiterating, the session is being live streamed and it will be kept available for viewing. Please be respectful, please keep questions and comments constructive, and let us know if you'd like to review or discuss a previous slide. Please come up to the front. You can stand, you can sit, introduce yourself, and let us know what you're thinking.
Good afternoon. I don't know if I need this. First of all, I want to thank you guys for the job you do. You get crapped on a lot, but it's one of the things you don't get enough praise for what you have to do on that. But I do have a few questions in regards to the budget. I'm Dale Sut, by the way, live here in town, for that doesn't know me. When we talk about the facilities and the rec facilities, one of the things that personally concerns me is the ski hill. Not sorry, the ski hill's one, and the clubhouse. The clubhouse in town, taxpayer dollars are going to the clubhouse. Right, there's no ands, ifs, or buts about that. We have 4 other eateries in town. The taxpayer dollars aren't going towards. And that's a concern. That'd be a concern of mine personally, to see that. Am I arguing it? No, I get that part, you know, they have to have some kind of canteen facility within a golf course. I understand that. But it's maybe something that I understand. One slide said you'd looked at privatization. I believe something did happen a couple of years back with an individual that was looking at it, but paperwork or liquor license couldn't get transferred in time, something to that effect. And that, but it's something I'd like, if council would maybe come back and take a look and look at that. It's not a lot, but every little bit helps. When I look at the impact statement, and it was an interesting part when you looked at the $50,000, $60,000, $70,000 impact. People's houses get reassessed, their taxes are going up even more. And, you know, that's one thing, I didn't want to debate a comment that was put on social media in regards to another community, and their assessment value being at about $150,000 a house, and it's nowhere near that. Being in my profession, I've seen the assessments in Marathon firsthand, and you know, that 150,000, there's few and far between in that both, and that. So MPAC does have an issue. MPAC was actually here a month and a half ago, because they left a note on my door, and I'm still in consultation with them because the bedrooms they claim I have, and that. But anyways, yeah, those are some of the big things, but really, I do want to say thanks. You're not going to get that a lot, but you know, is there room for improvement? Oh, hell yeah, there's room for improvement, all of us, every bit. So how do we do it? I'm hoping we do it collectively, that it's, you know, open consultation like this to see what we're going to go through next. And that the one comment I see in here about landfill. So personally, I've been out to that landfill twice. There hasn't been a person on site. I don't know if they went for a lunch or what, but that's I guess that's my expertise, where I come back from my previous life. And I just hope somebody from the MOE doesn't go and do an inspection there. And that, because there's easy access, you have to have containment, unless the fencing has all been surrounded on the left-hand side when you go up the hill. Yeah, there's holes in that. So that's just something maybe somebody could take a look at. You just want to, you know, make sure you don't lose that. It is a valuable resource for the community. I appreciate your time. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Sett. Appreciate it.
That was my dad.
So we'll go with Dale. No, thank you. We do really appreciate that. You're right. The thank yous are few and far between, quite often, especially around budget and tax increases. So I'll just try to touch on your points. So, with respect to the, clubhouse, it's, you know, you did touch on a lot of the points that I would say, which is, yes, I mean, a restaurant and bar attached to a golf course. It's our opinion that that's, you know, not offside as far as municipal function, but, thank you for your comments. It's definitely something that we'll take into consideration. As far as assessment and assessment increases, now, if/when MPAC completes a new assessment, that will completely change the tax rate in Manitowocz. Every year we set the tax rate based on what we need to raise. So if, for instance, assessment values doubled, our tax rate would approximately be cut in half. Of course, we would adjust based on what we need for that year, but it would cause a significant decrease in our tax rate. And then as far as your comments around the landfill, I would recommend, it's an operational item that I would recommend you reach out to our director, Tyler Brewster, maybe after the meeting or at another time to let him know those concerns. Perfect. Thank you.
Hi, I'm Maria Kalin. I've got several questions. I'll only ask a couple right now because I'll just keep it to a minimum so other people can speak on it. My number one question is, and this might just be the way you guys do things, but why isn't the council here? Why isn't the mayor here?
So at this point in time, this is a consultation with staff where we're accepting feedback at an administration and a staff level. And we are taking your questions and your feedback at the staff level at this point in time. There will be an open comment section at the council meeting on July 9th, and there will be an opportunity to present your questions and opinions to council at that time.
What is the reason for them not being here? Like, I understand though that's the order and the way you do it. But I would just think that the mayor and the councillors would want to take a positive step in interacting with the rest of the community. This would have been, I mean, all of these meetings, I've never seen them at any of these open mics or these open, you know, like the last one we had. I just really wish there was more participation by the mayor and the council. I think that would go a long way in healing this community and the cracks that are being formed by this. But welcome to Mr. Baker as our new CAO. I hope that, things improve. My second question is, you mentioned about the recreation that attracts people, but only, the ski hill and the recreation center and the gym and all those things, but they're all, and we've brought this up before, they're all physical things. And that the council or the staff or whoever is organizing this is putting, I know that the rec center puts on things like comedians and the recreation committee puts on comedians and that sort of thing. But I would really like to see some, what I've written here is recreation attracts people, but only seeking those particular recreation resources, golf, skiing, hockey. But there's a neglect of the resources of education and non-physical activities. Those are important to keep people here. You say you want to attract people here? Well, personally, I've got my house up for sale now because there's nothing left here to keep me here. There used to be, you know, once upon a time when we first moved here, the swimming pool was open. I know that's a physical thing, and that's still on the website as being open, and there's a phone number there, and we're paying $800 for what?
Insurance,
For what? Ensure that it.
the empty pool
doesn't-
still exists, we pay insurance associated with the pool.
So that if somebody falls in, we're not liable, is that it, or insurance said it doesn't?
We're getting pretty low level, this is a budget discussion and that's
All right.
operational.
Well, that is a budget discussion issue. But I just like to see the emphasis taken off of just physical things and a return to education or just stuff that people who cannot be as physical as others, or even get upstairs to the rec center. You know, there's not enough to keep me here. So I'll save the rest of the questions for a later time. Anybody else? I hope people will come up and talk. Thank you.
Thank you for your feedback.
Hi, guys. My name is Cheryl Hare.
Speaking to the mic, please, Cheryl.
I've lived here 20 years now. Can you hear me?
Better, yes, thanks.
Okay. Couple questions. I love the town. I really do. But like Mario was just mentioning, us older people are getting older. And we're not as active as what we once were. The swimming pool is a big deal. It's exercise for us. You get active in that, and it's for all people, really. But we really appreciated the morning exercises and different things that went on for us seniors. We have a lovely seniors club that's ongoing, still running. We're thankful for the building that you've given us. And we're thankful for what goes on there, but I think there could be more things, like Mario says, in the town that encompasses us as well. You know, we've got a new stage. I'm hoping that the group of us that play music on Saturday night, I'm hoping that they come out to use and ask if we can use that stage this summer on Saturday nights. Just to incur some live music where people can come out and listen to. I hope we don't get a no when we ask for that. Because we're heading that way to approach you guys. To say, can we do that? Can we use that stage on Saturday nights? Plug in our amps and our mics, you know? And I think it would be wonderful for us to have down by the waterfront. Music playing and stuff, and it's free. You guys don't gotta pay us. We can play for free. The other thing is the golf course, what do you guys call it? The eating place? Clubhouse. Clubhouse. I've been to the clubhouse 3 times and I've only been the only person in there and there's 3 staff working and they're only serving me and a friend. I don't like the idea that us townspeople are paying for that running. You know, we're not paying for any other eateries or anything like that. I'd like to see it go private. In my concerns, and let somebody else try and make money, because if I asked you guys how much money you made from the clubhouse, just a part of the eating part that's open last year, I don't know what you guys would tell me, but I don't think it's high. I think it's low. You know, and why are we gonna continue with the low things to keep putting money into them when you can privatize that area? I like the fact that golf course, I don't play golf either. But I like that it's open for those that do, because there's a lot of older people that like playing golf, you know? And we are a dwindling town, we're losing people. What are we at now, 17,000 people that live here? You know?
Around the 2,000 mark, yes.
Yeah, and we're getting lower and lower. In the 20 years that I've lived here, I've seen new things taken on. But there's no money coming in for our town from these things. And we have to have the money. If I said, is the ski hill making money, considering what it takes us to run it? I don't think we are. I think we're at a loss in that place too. And I love that it's open. It's expensive right now to use the lifts, you know? I don't want to take it away, but the fact that we're losing money and we're paying it, us people, is a concern. That we're losing too much money. Can we not get grants or anything that help out in these areas so we're not paying it ourselves? Those are my concerns about the things that we have happening, but I don't think we're making anything out of them, more money, you know? And you're only gonna have more money coming in if you have lots of people coming in and buying houses. But they have to wanna come because there's activities going on. Schools should be open. We've been listening, I don't know, is it 4 or 5 years now that we've been listening, that's gonna be open, it's gonna be open, but it's still not open. I'd like an update on that too, if we can possibly have it today, if anybody knows about the pool. Thank you, guys.
Thank you, Cheryl. So I'll speak to your concerns a little bit. So, from my perspective, with respect to community services activities that are non-physical, from my perspective, I see a lot of new activities over the last couple of years that aim to include, outside of just physical activity. There's been a lot of paint nights and comedy nights and shows and such like that. You know, paint nights, art nights,
Yeah.
wine and sign, that kind of thing. So there is, I see effort to appeal to a broad section of the population that is both physical and non-physical activities, but thank you for that piece of input for sure. The stage rental, we can get back to you about that. Off the top of my head, I don't remember what we had decided as far as whether we have a rental price or whether it's something that needs to be booked ahead of time. But we do also, the recreation department offers a in-kind contribution application where if you're a nonprofit group, you could certainly put in an application and request free use of that. But that would be something to get in touch with Director Boileau about. Clubhouse budget variance reports were actually published attached to this report when it was brought to council's attention at the last meeting. So if you dig into that report, it does show how the clubhouse performed in 2023 and in 2024. And yes, as I said in the slideshow, a lot of our rec functions are funded by the municipality, meaning it costs us money to offer that service and operate. They're not profit driven. They don't bring money into the municipality. They're an area of spending to offer something to the community. So again, you know, the feedback is appreciated. It's certainly valid to have opinions about what areas are more valuable and less valuable. So thanks for the input. I hope that answered your questions. Next person.
Just so you know that the various report is not.
Marlene Turner, I just had 2 questions. It's been brought up before about privatization. Well, I don't like it anyway. I wish our water and garbage wasn't privatized. But, as far as privatizing ski hill or the golf hut, they tried that. It's a seasonal thing and you could not make a profit of it, so it's just. Not even to be talked about as far as I'm concerned. I do love the ski hill. I did wish it didn't cost that much. I wish the old building was never. Council never agreed to send an engineer in there because as far as I'm concerned, the old building was just fine. And use at your own risk and it would have saved us a lot of money. The other thing in the budget about the rec center, I don't see the money that Manrock and Barrett donated. Where would that fit in?
That fits under the other revenue column.
Oh,
So under the
what page is that?
it would be the second page of the package that you have.
Okay.
And under recreation center renovation, the funding is 500,000 for, and this is funding for 2025's budget. 500,000 in reserve transfer, 2.45 million in long-term debt, 1.35 million in Ontario grants. And then there's 750,000 on here that comprises other revenue, which includes donations.
Does it show up in the budget here?
So that's what it is inside that, it's not broken out as a detailed line by line for
Okay.
what's inside that 750,000, but that's within that number.
And our lawyer fees and that all comes under administration, does it? It's not a separate item?
That would be under administration expenses, that's right. It's not broken out separately.
Okay, and I'd really be interested to know what our electricity charges are, because it'd be really nice if we could reduce them. They must be a fortune. But it's not itemized, it's probably under each department, probably,
Yes,
yeah. Okay.
and they sure can be a fortune, especially in the winter time.
Well, yeah, and it's, we never talk in the provincial government, nobody ever talks about conservation anymore. You know, and it's nice to get a pilot project that you can, you know, use biomass or something, you know, because it is. And I feel sorry for the businesses, because they're all struggling. And taxes, I don't even have a clue what their taxes are, but I'm sure they're very high. And for what their income is, and we need them so desperately.
Thank you. And I did just want to note, I mentioned the 2023 and 2024 variance reporting included with the report. It's not included with these packages, but it's accessible via the council agenda. It's on our website. And of course, if you contact us, we can provide it to you. And I believe we have copies available at reception, if they're not all taken by now. But we can always get you some fresh copies if they don't have them handy.
Well,
Hi, how are you?
thanks for coming out and sharing some information. So I just want to touch one thing that's on, it's just a question. With the, going back to the swimming pool. Is there any future for that program?
Can we hire the mic? I can't hear him very well.
Because
I can repeat the question.
I was thinking,
Yes, please.
You're talking very quiet.
yeah, okay, how's that? Thank you very much, man, to get on the left. Yeah, is there any future for the swimming pool?
So as far as the future of the swimming pool, there has been discussion at the council table about some grant funding opportunities. At this time, I don't believe we have an update. I believe that report is required to bring to council to discuss the future of the pool. As of right now, for the 2025 operating year, there won't be a pool operation, that's guaranteed. But as far as the future, it is uncertain. We are looking at the different options available as far as grant opportunities out there, but there are a lot of things to consider, including operating costs. So just something to think about. I mean, we've heard a lot of feedback about our tax rate and you know, our taxes, right? So operating the pool is another operating expense and it would be an additional cost. So it is tough as far as resource allocation. One of the speakers had mentioned that it seems like the town is taking things on despite shrinking, and the reality is, as we shrink, there will be things that will be lost over time in the name of budget sustainability. No decision's been made at this time for the pool. Yes,
So it was the direction of council to seek grant funding to help with the repair of the pool. So there have been grants that have been applied for, we just haven't been successful yet. So once we are able to come up with something, then we'll bring that back to council for consideration.
And I think it's not just adults that would use it. A lot of kids have learned to even learn how to swim, you know. But also it's been closed 3 years. So
5+.
5,
Before COVID.
and so $800 been closed for 5 years. So a lot of money for a whole. So it's something we should look at.
I would say that 800 might even be light as far as allocation of insurance, but it's just that the fact that it's there, right? It's something we'll look into as far as the future of it, and thanks for your feedback and
Yeah.
communication to the public as far as what is going to happen is certainly something that we
Yeah.
like to.
There's a lot of kids.
I personally, I mean, I have a lot of fond memories of the pool, and it makes me very sad that it's not operational. It really does, and it is tough. Nobody's happy about the fact, including ourselves, that the pool isn't running. It is too bad.
Okay, thanks.
Thank you.
I think you guys do a good job too. I'm Karen Robinson, I work with the Economic Development Corporation.
Thank you.
Welcome, Mr. Baker. Just a couple of questions about the corner project, because I'm not too sure. Is the town responsible for the maintenance on the corner project and the washroom facility?
So the washroom facility belongs to the Ministry of Transportation. We do the maintenance for them. We have a contract with them to maintain that facility.
And the property itself?
I'm
Because I'll tell you why.
not sure.
I got a couple of emails today
Mhm.
from people going by the corner saying that it's very unkept.
Oh,
Grass needs to be cut, there's stuff there, so I just wondered if we're responsible for that.
so I believe we own the
We
property.
do cut the grass out there.
Yeah, I guess maybe it's just been a time since you cut it, Tyler, I just don't know, I got a couple of emails today.
Yeah.
And I think the corner project really, for us especially, makes it welcoming. So when you come to the corner project, you think about hand wash. So if it's not kept, I don't know what people are thinking. But every time I go past there, there's people on those pieces of equipment. Now also, Aaron, do you have any news on what's gonna happen to the equipment that's out there?
So this is operational, so I'm gonna redirect that, and say, reach out to us, give a call to, I think that would be Tyler or
Would it be
Trish.
Tyler? Okay.
And,
Okay.
yeah, and those questions could be answered from.
Okay, so our cost is just for the maintenance and the washroom facility. Because is the washroom facility up to you, Tyler, to open or not open?
No, it's not.
Yeah.
So the MTO gives us funding to only clean the corner washrooms. They take care of all the maintenance as far as it is with the septic and the toilets and everything. So it has been closed for some time now. They finally reached back out to us today to say that we could finally reopen it. So it
Perfect.
has been reopened. We just actually this afternoon, we just needed to announce it.
Perfect, thanks so much.
Yeah.
And I believe I just want to point out any opportunity we get that I believe there is a design issue with those toilets. And that is the primary reason why they're so often closed down, because they jam up, and it's a pain point for us because we get the calls, we get our feedback from our cleaning staff, and it's a pain point.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Yes, get it up. My next concern is about the garbage collection. Last time we met, I guess it was January, we talked about the fact that the Ontario recycling was supposed to be covered by the people who are, the companies that are creating those things. I understand that just a few days ago, there was some movement in that direction. Do you know anything about that?
So all I know is the media rumblings that I've seen as well. And I was, to be honest, a little bit, the media piece that I saw was confusing as far as what direction it's headed in. On the municipal side, we haven't received anything from the province yet, or that hasn't moved forward on our end. But in the media, yes, there's been some kind of uncertainty around when it's going to
When,
move forward.
correct.
So, we don't have an update. I know it was back in January, we talked about it, and we were hoping to have something by now for sure, but, it's not something we have yet.
Okay, so, according to this, your operating budget, 2025, the garbage collection has a revenue of $5,000. Where is that coming from?
I believe that is dumpsters and dumpster rentals. We do have dumpsters that we sell and provide for our user fees.
So we're still paying $451,000 for our garbage, which should be coming down because the manufacturers of the recycling is supposed to be paying for it.
That's right.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Arlene Turner, one more question about this. Last July 1st, I've been involved in recycling since the 70s. Last July 1st, the government was supposed to pay, the packaging companies were supposed to start. Thunder Bay is also with GFL. And they made them get new dumpsters, and I don't know how it's working, but they were not supposed to be paying for the overpack, so I don't know how. Is Thunder Bay the only city in the province that's making some profit from it? I don't know. But if anyone could look into what's happening in Thunder Bay since last July 1st, when the provincial government made that. And it's kept, seemed to be a secret from everybody else, but they announced it, so I guess they, like everything else, just left it up to the communities to get on board. I don't know.
We could definitely look into that, and it's possible that, just speculating, it's possible that Thunder Bay made their own changes to the operation and the funding hasn't come through, but we'd have to look into
It was
that.
supposed to be provincial last July 1st. Everywhere.
That was spontaneous, my hand going up. I was gonna sneeze. My name is Phil Carlton. I've served for 25, 30 years in emergency services. I've negotiated and talked to different jobs with CEOs, and they become answerable to me. Now, I'm standing here, I'm listening to each one here. I do appreciate each one of you. You all have separate jobs. But the presentation, back in the corner, you have your video where you can see it, but that's still a distance away when we're looking at numbers. We're looking at percentages, can't see it. One of the other things is you can't control the rumors that are put around in the public. That's why I'm thanking you up front. But there's an idea that you're untouchable. And I think that needs to be corrected. I think at the beginning of every meeting, each one of you should get up, introduce yourself. So we hear, and everyone knows who each one of you are, and we can appreciate the different jobs that you do. And I'm standing up here by giving you my name. I should know who each one of you are, what you do, the township. So if you're able to be talked to and taken aside, you can get rid of a lot of this gossip, all these things that are said that aren't true, and people take information in and they're wondering what the heck's going on in the township. But if you can't come up here and say anything, thank God you have this presentation today. Because if it was a normal meeting, you gotta shut up and let everything be said and done. And there's that unapproachable, doesn't have to be a violent way, it doesn't have to be aggressive, but at least have an understanding of what's happening with each of the different areas that people are concerned about. And when you take away a right for them to ask you a question, if they're unruly, you have to throw them out. But if they have a legitimate question, what's that gonna take you, 15, 20 more minutes to appease the town and say, hey, we're doing our job. We want you to know that, and we'll do a little extra for you to put you at ease, at peace, to know the job's getting done.
And that's all I'm up there for, is to say, we appreciate you, but I see as you're talking, the presentation should be brought up closer for the people to see. And hearing aids probably can't see very well, though they do work. And all the other body parts of it to be replaced. But I appreciate you guys, and I just think it could be done just a little better. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Phil. I just want to touch on the concepts of untouchable and unapproachable. What I felt when you said untouchable is I certainly don't feel untouchable. I certainly feel, and I think that I speak for my colleagues, I certainly feel the pressure every day. We see and hear everything essentially, whether it be on social media, whether it be through rumors, whether it be in a public session. And untouchable is certainly not how I feel. There are many a day, especially around this time when we're looking at budget, where I wonder if it's worth it. And I wonder what other opportunities are out there. And at the end of the day, I'm committed to the municipality and I'm here to serve you, the public, and we all are. We can absolutely take any suggestions to improve transparency communication. As far as moving the screen, we could have moved the screen probably. I don't know if we have extension cord limitations, but we never want the public to feel like we're unapproachable. Now, sometimes it's a matter of the proper channels, and with respect to council meetings, I know that our council meetings don't have an open session or an open portion for commentary, and I know that a lot of people value that. However, you do have the opportunity to make requests to delegate to council ahead of time. I know that's not the same as having an open session and being able to ask a quick question. Thank you for that feedback, and that's certainly feedback you can also provide to the mayor and council, because that is a decision that they make. And again, thank you for that feedback. And we certainly, I know I can speak for myself and say I certainly never want any residents of Manitowoc to feel like they can't approach me and ask me questions. And again, thank you.
Maybe we could find some presentation.
Slideshow.
Slideshow.
So we will provide copies, we'll be publishing the slideshow to our budget consultation page. I believe that's still open until Monday. So we are still accepting survey responses for the consultation survey, and we will add the slideshow to that page so you can view it there on mymanitowatch.ca. And if anybody wants one, we would be happy to print one for you at reception here when we're finished with the meeting. So just come by reception and let us know if you want a copy. Get one for you, and also it'll be posted on mymanitowatch.ca. Are there any other questions or comments?
I will start off by making this a budget question, but I'm gonna ask about the website costing $20,000. Why is it costing so much money?
I think that's one that I would ask the clerk, Keto.
Through the chair, or through the chair.
Yeah.
So that is a typical amount for a new website design, full accessibility, operating and changing over. So we have been doing some costing and getting some quotes, and that is the average cost to do the whole, new site. We understand and acknowledge that our website is not easy to navigate, very difficult to use. So we actually got that input in January, from the members of the public that the website would need to be updated. So that is something we're looking to do today.
So although it says update in here, I can't remember where it is, it says update. It's gonna be a brand new website?
Yes,
That's
A
a
redesign.
a complete redesign, yeah.
new company gonna be or running it and everything?
That would, be put up to tender likely.
Good,
We would have to look at our procurement policy and so we would follow that.
because it's been 5 or 6 years of. You know, I.
Our
don't know
website's
what to say.
rough.
Yeah,
I mean, you try looking up a bylaw or something now and it's just, you can't find it. With that being said, I'm just wondering, this isn't a budget question, but it's just a question about the suggestion I brought up last time about about making a YouTube channel. Have you given that any more thought? Did you get a
A
chance?
community announcements type YouTube channel, right?
Yeah, that's correct. Because I don't know if you saw the one, well, somewhere on Facebook, they were discussing it. And so I made a mock-up of just putting up the Oreo. It was a lousy copy because I didn't have access to, well, my printer. It wasn't a good, it was a mock-up. I've taken it down since. And the whole thing took less than an hour to do. It was, and that was with scanning. I've done another one since then. And all you have to do is copy the whole Boreal off the My Manitowoc or the Boreal site, put it onto a video and publish it. Is there any more thought how to doing that?
so currently at the community center, there is a advertising loop. That we receive different advertisements from different groups in the community that are added to it. Our own programming is added to it. So that could be something we may be able to look at. It would be dedicating more staff time and resources to putting something like that together to be updated.
It took me an hour. It's not rocket science. And I'm an old woman with.
But it's certainly something we
limited
could.
skills.
We could look
Okay.
into. Yeah.
I would really like to see, but like, I can't remember who said it, but the transparency, Phil said it, transparency. And that's a way to be transparent to not just people who have Facebook, but to the whole community, well, to most of the community. There are still people out there who don't have computers, but it takes a giant leap into opening things up to the whole community, not just people who are on Facebook. My husband's not on Facebook. I have to tell him everything that's going on in the township. And I resent having to go to Facebook to find out what's happening in the community. So, can I get permission to do that again this time? Like to put the Boreal onto a Facebook, onto a YouTube channel, free of charge?
I don't know that you would even need permission. I mean, it
Okay.
is public, it's public,
That's what I
right?
thought,
Yeah,
but I
the
just wanted to-
Boreal newsletter came about because, we had
Right.
received, comments about not having enough, for the public to see that's not on a computer. And so that's how the Boreal came to be.
I really like the Boreal compared to what it was,
It's
except
provided by PDF and by print, so you can certainly, access it, I think, on
Yeah.
the.
But years ago, it used to be delivered to our house and it was really convenient. So if you don't go out 6 days a week, you may not get that Boreal until some of the January or the July 1st activities are already gone because it's in the July 1st issue. So if you have something that is immediate, as soon as that Boreal comes out, gets onto YouTube, people could look at the YouTube and see, tomorrow or today, later on today, this is happening. They don't have to go down to the grocery store, the grocery store and pick up their Boreal and then decide then, they'll be able to look at it right away. So as long as, I just want to be very transparent, I want to make sure that I'm not gonna get into trouble if I do that, a real version of that Boreal on Facebook again. So this is out there and I'm okay, and if you're, as long as you're okay with it, watch for the YouTube,
Thank you.
my little contribution.
Yeah, that's great. Thank you.
And just me again. Is there a list of town-owned properties? I mean, complete assets.
The impact assessment role is publicly available.
No, you're not that. The impact assessment role, you have to know the numbers for the addresses. But all
So the-
town-owned properties.
So the role has the roll numbers and it has the properties and anybody is welcome to come and view that. So that is just something that I usually will offer to people is that the assessment role is publicly available. But as far as a list of township properties, I'm not sure. You mean publicly available, right?
And that's where I'm going with this is just the amount, the dollar amount that's sitting there.
Okay,
Is there a dollar amount sitting there that council could use? I'm not talking this building or some stuff being used, is there a dollar amount sitting there on property?
So there sure is, and right now we are in discussions about what direction we're going in with respect to our properties. Our new CAO and I have had that discussion, and we're in the early stages at reviewing what our inventory of excess or surplus land is, and it is an area identified for opportunity, so.
And just to add a point to what Marlena said, that stage, we used it last year for rendezvous days. I see people smoking there now. Like really, and there was the rumor has it how much it costs, it doesn't matter. But it is something that, the Golden Age Center, things like that would get people down there, your lawn chairs, they sit there and probably have a couple of beers while they're doing it. But it does happen, but it would get the community back closer, you would get people out there.
And part of the reason why that project was, taken on by the township and the rendezvous committee wasn't just for the one-time use of rendezvous days. It is to promote those community events, and it is something that we want to help with. So like I said earlier, if there's any groups or individuals that are interested in using that stage, please reach out to Director Wallow. I believe that, again, I have to double check, I don't have it off the top of my head and in front of me, but whether there's a fee or not, reach out to Director Wallow. If there is a fee that the council had set, there's also that opportunity for the in-kind contributions for nonprofit organizations, but I believe, speculating here, if we did set a fee, I believe it was very nominal, and it's essentially a permitting process, right? Because if you're looking at hosting a big event with alcohol, I mean, there's licensing and insurance. And we do need to just make sure that, things
I
are
think
permitted.
that's something that could be added to the webpage.
Absolutely it could,
Yeah.
and it would be folded into our website redesign project, and that is, I'm happy we're forward with that, because we've been hearing for a while about our website, and
Yeah, I won't say it's archaic. but-
that might be kind to call
Yeah.
it just archaic.
I don't get a warning for that, do I? Thank you.
Thank you. Any other comments or questions?
With the golden age ending this week for summer vacation, the only thing we have going on is a music group. And can you direct me who we should contact? Director Wallow?
Director Wallow,
Right here.
Trish, right here.
Yeah.
Yeah, no,
Okay, so we can talk to you then.
absolutely.
Okay, because I'll let the guys know that.
Listen, that stage is there for exactly that purpose, to bring community together and to host events and to get people to use that space, right?
Yes, but with us being old people.
Oh, old
seniors,
people, okay,
we
old
thought we
people
wouldn't
can
have
do
to pay. We're not getting the bar or anything like that.
No bar,
Nice
lots of fun.
music, yeah. I'll come see you. Trish.
Absolutely.
Thanks.
Any other comments, questions? Going once?
My taxes are really high. I just want to let you know.
You know what? There are areas in town where it's very high, there are areas in town where it's lower, and that's certainly something I talk about people regularly. I mean, sometimes individuals come in that are in that high 5% percentile, and I even say to them, yeah, your taxes are high, I'm not gonna argue with you on that, so. Yeah, it's part of it is impact, part of it is us, as far as distribution of taxes, so. See what impact does, we're all waiting. I think there was an expectation that with the new provincial government having seated that there would be an announcement, but we're still waiting. So with that, unless interrupt me if there's any other questions or comments, but otherwise, I think we're finished, and if you did want any of those materials that I mentioned, pop by reception, we'll get that for you, and check out my managewatch.ca if you want to see it otherwise.
Thank you guys for being here.
Thank you.